Okay guys, let's talk lightning. Time for guitar number 21. Right off the top, I'm going to tell you it was one of my greatest disappointments in buys. It was what I expected and worse. Now, during the pandemic, I was having a little bit of trouble finding some new guitars to buy. And on Amazon, which here was my main supplier, I had basically worn out all of the options that I could buy that I already had and didn't really want any more. And the other place was Harley Benton's, and I decided I was going to try this Starshine on Amazon. It came in at $212. I had a feeling I was paying too much for it, and I did. Subsequently to buying it, the next week, or the week after, it might have been 2 weeks, I was on AliExpress and found the exact same guitar being sold by a seller directly for $99 Canadian. And then some people mentioned in the comments after I had gotten it, and I had mentioned that in my videos that I had seen it. Some people said, "Oh, that's the same as a Glary version, and oh, they're going for like $89 or $79," and that made me feel so much better. And then during the process of unboxing and looking at it, it was one of those things that on the Amazon website, the picture, it looked good from far, but was far from good. So I ended up deciding that, well, what am I going to do, right? I needed another guitar to work on, see what I could do, and I decided that, yeah, I had a bunch of issues, but there were all the kinds of things that I could, fix and take care of and modify and upgrade and that kind of stuff. So I started working on it, and it wasn't until I think I had the neck disconnected, was working on the frets, and realized, wait a minute, and I went back and checked and realized they had sent me the wrong guitar. It was a Lightning, but mine was supposed to be an HSS, and it was supposed to have a white pickguard, and this one came with a black pickguard and an SSS. I'm thinking, oh, F. Too late to send it back now. I've worked on it. Now some people would do that. They'd put it back together and just send it back. Lately we've heard of people buying Moosies, stealing the tuners off of them, putting Donners on it and sending it back. I'm not that guy. So I used it, I fixed it, I modified it, and I made it an HSS. But I wasn't really that overall happy with it. It was playing great, and I actually used it in the first part of the instrumental of Black Velvet, and it did sound good. But it sounded good with a Donner pickup in it, a Donner, the original Donner humbucker that came on one of my Donners. And by the way, if you're looking for a guitar in a price range of $200 and you have a choice between a Donner and a Starshine, go Donner. Absolutely Donner, or a Monoprice. They'll both be eminently supreme compared to a Starshine. So I was buying, pickups and modifying guitars, and sometimes I was putting pickups in guitars, and I was thinking, maybe that wasn't the best pickup to put in this guitar, or I'm not so happy with this pickup. And now that I've used it and modified it and installed it, I can't send that pickup back either. And then the idea came to me of, wait a minute, when I worked in the electronics industry, we used to, test components, and we had test jigs to test components, set things up before we put them in their final application, both when I worked in computers and telephone systems, and then later in aviation. We'd have test jigs to put radios in racks, tweak them, set them up, output power, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, I really wish I was able to do that for pickups. And presto, the sacrificial lightning came to mind. The neck was great now, with a bone nut. The Dario strings, fully adjustable and set up, and I thought, all I need to do is cut a pick guard to be able to put different pickups in there, and I have a test jig. And that's what I did. I basically didn't change much of it. It's still got the 5-way switch in there, so I can do 5-way stuff. Depending on how I hook up the pickups, I can do them as 3 ways to test them. I can split when I need to with the toggle, and so that's the way she goes. So I mean, I installed those little nibble connectors in there that you can just stick wires inside of them. You can go back and watch that video of how I built this pick guard. It's in the playlist. And I have an adapter that goes here that I can do Telecaster pickups on it. So I can do HSS, I can do SSS, whatever combination I want now. And this body was like, it's probably some very, very cheap version of a basswood, but it's light like a balsa wood. And yeah, I really enjoyed cutting into this with a saw. It made me feel so much better about this guitar. Don't need anything fancy on it now. The neck is still straight. The neck was the best part of this in the end. I mean, this piece of maple. After I fixed the frets, and it has a kind of a laurel, or it's not a rosewood. It's going to be probably a laurel, or what's the other one with the A? I can't remember the name of it. It's one of those. So the neck with the bone nut, and it still has the original tuners, which have a little bit of slop, but for this application it's fine. No need to put them on there. I did put those big roller string trees, but yeah, this test jig turned out to be really great, because now when I buy a pickup, I'm thinking, okay, I don't really know what it's going to be like. I can install it in here. I don't have to modify it, do any soldering to it whatsoever. Install it, test it. If I don't like it, back in the package, back to the supplier. And if I like it, I write down the specs. I write down little notes about what was good about it, what was bad about it. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep it. So then I put that in my stash. And, you know, so when I'm going through it and I'm looking for pickups for a guitar, I'll look and read through the notes and the specs on it, and I'll go, oh, yeah, I think this one would be better on there. And then if I've done a video about them, which I often do, and I don't always publish that, I will go back and watch the video for it and listen to the sound of it and decide, yeah, that's the right one, or nope, I'm going to try another one for whichever application I'm going to put them in. So that's how I decide, you know, now which pickups go in which guitars if I'm changing pickups. So this turned out to be useful, and and something that I like, not as a guitar but as a test jig. This you know, stretch on picture that they did was nicely done at the edges. I mean, you can't see it at all because of the black, but you know, it obviously was not a paint job, and I'm happy with it as it is. It became useful. So this basically is the story of the Lightning, and if you guys think that you have a guitar or you want a jig like this, if you're going to do the kind of work that I do as a hobby, you want to test pickups, you too can do this. This is not that hard to do. If you've got a router, a saw, you know, a small circular saw, you just got to cut this whole section out, you know, so you can slip your pick guard in and out there with the screws hanging down on the bottom, and you know, put little connectors on the back of this thing, no solder connectors, hook them up, you know, have a good set of strings on it. But these are the Dario 10s, which are the original ones I put on there. They don't get much use except for the testing, and of course, since they're the Darios, I did get the action on this thing, like, still, it's perfect. Hasn't moved. So once I got all that stuff fixed up, it turned out to be, you know, very, very good as a guitar, and even better as a test jig. If the body had been something else, I might have kept it as a guitar. But as a test jig, it became more valuable to me in my hobby. So that's the story of the Lightning. So that's number 21. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all your support. Catch us in the next one.